day will rise.
Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Monday, October 13th, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 21st of Tishrei, 5786 in the Hebrew calendar. This is an absolutely historic day. Peace has been achieved. Hostages are home. A new Middle East is born. Now, let's get to the news. After 738 days, or 2 agonizing years and 6 days, the remaining living hostages have been returned home to Israel. It's a dream that so many never imagined they could see, even myself. When you're in war, you can never imagine life without war. I remember just weeks ago asking myself if I could even remember or think of what life would be like in Israel not being in war. And that's just the truth. The nightmare that many families have lived through is finally over, or at least we hope that it's the beginning of the end for them. We know that so many hostages are going to need so much special care and so much love and attention from their families and friends, and probably not be able to be on their own. So we know that while the nightmare has been, there's a little bit more nightmare to go. However, Hamas missed the noon deadline. The terror organization was supposed to return all 48 hostages, not just the ones who were alive. There were 20 who were alive, but also the ones who were dead. Some were brought into the strip already deceased after having been murdered on October 7th, 2023. Some were killed or died during their captivity. 20 living hostages were returned, but only 4 bodies were sent back today, and all of them were supposed to be sent back today. It is not understood whether that is because Hamas is having trouble locating the bodies or if they are simply not playing by the rules. The final 20 living hostages were released on Monday, October 13th, 2025, 2 years and 6 days after they were taken. The remaining living hostages include Omri Miran. We interviewed his relative about him, Gali Berman, Ziv Berman, Eitan Moore, Matan Angrest, Guy Gilboa Dalal, Alon Ohel, Avi Natan Or, Evietar David, Maxim Herkin, Rom Brazlavsky, Bar Cooperstein, Nimrod Cohen, David Cunio, Ariel Cunio, Matan Zangaker, Yosef Chaim Ohana, Eitan Horn, and Segev Kalfon. Miraculously, all of them were well enough to stand on their own 2 feet, even though some hostages like Avi Natan Or did not look like himself. He looked like a totally different person if you would compare him today to the photos that are hung up all over Tel Aviv, all over the country showing him, or Evietar David, who looked so skinny and frail. Thankfully, he's alive. The video of him was heinous. It was the video that was rolled out by Hamas showing him digging his own grave, or so he believed he was. I had major fears that he was not going to come home. And he did. He came home today. The living hostages were returned by 10:52 a.m. Israel time on October 13th, 2025. There are no living hostages in Gaza anymore. Hallelujah. The hostages were brought by Hamas to the hands of the Red Cross. This was the first time in more than 2 years that the hostages met any Red Cross operatives. Despite that their job is supposed to be visiting hostages, those hostages never got a visit from the Red Cross. They have said that they were not able to because of Hamas terror organization. Well, we could imagine that it might be difficult to get close, but that is their job. After the Red Cross handoff, the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, took it from there, bringing them from the Red Cross hands into Israel on helicopters. Pilots drove the young men over the crowds of people who gathered for them in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv and throughout the rest of the country. Vehicles transporting other hostages paused to allow them to open a window or open a door to smile at the Israelis who had lined the streets waiting to have them home. The celebrations in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv and across Israel have been ongoing. People told us here at the Israel Daily News that the day brought them a feeling of pure ecstasy. I heard that not once, but twice. For more of the street feel, you can catch an interview that we did from Hostage Square on Instagram Live with a local named Natalie. She talked us through the emotions of the day, how she experienced it as a resident of Israel for 11 years. U.S. President Donald Trump made a short visit to Israel that lasted a little over 4 hours. It was already longer than was planned. The prime minister and his wife, President Herzog, and his wife, along with Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, and her husband, Jared Kushner, met the U.S. president on the tarmac at Ben Gurion International Airport. Kushner was a leading mediator for the United States and also brokered the Abraham Accords, which brought Arab countries to sign normalization deals with Israel, and that was historic back in 2018 when it rolled out and when it was signed in 2020, and this is even more historic. President Trump addressed the Knesset today, that's Monday, and received the longest standing ovation in history in the Knesset. Also, while in Israel, he met with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in Netanyahu's Knesset office and sat down and spoke with the families of the hostages, which was very touching as well. We have that video up on our social media. While en route to Jerusalem as a sign of good friendship, President Trump broke protocol and invited the Netanyahus to Jerusalem in his presidential car, known as the Beast. At the Knesset in the plenum, before the speech started, Netanyahu praised Trump and Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana, who led a cheer for the Prime Minister, and Trump enthusiastically joined in for the cheer of Netanyahu. Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the Knesset and the press, along with the Speaker of the Knesset, Amir Ohana. President Trump followed with long remarks, though he himself joked on Netanyahu that Netanyahu spoke for too long. In truth, Trump spoke for much longer. Let's hear a few clips from each of these heads of state. The full remarks are on our YouTube page at Israel Daily News. You know that I really care about giving you the full text, about giving you the full script, but we're going to give you just a few clips because these remarks, this went on for more than an hour, so we're going to give you the highlights, and you can see the full thing on our YouTube page.
נשיא ארצות הברית, הנשיא דונלד ג'יי טראמפ. ברוך בואך לירושלים בירתנו הנצחית. ברוך בואך לישראל ביום המרגש הזה שיחקק בתולדות עמנו. וגם אתה, הנשיא, תחקק בתולדות עמנו, כי כבר נחקקת בתולדות האנושות. אבל אנחנו, כפי שנאמר, זוכרים את ידידנו, ואנחנו יודעים את חלקך החשוב והמכריע בהחזרת יתרת חטופינו ביום הזה שהתבשרנו עכשיו, רק לפני שעה קלה, שכל חטופינו החיים שבו אלינו. איזו התרגשות. President Trump, the Knesset welcomes you and your distinguished delegation to Jerusalem, our eternal capital. This is your first visit to Israel since you recognize Jerusalem as our capital and moved the embassy here. Thank you, President Trump, for that. There are many other reasons to thank you since your last visit here. Thank you for recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Thank you for standing up to the lies against Israel in the United Nations. Thank you for recognizing in your 2020 peace plan our rights in Judea and Samaria, the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people. Thank you for brokering the historic Abraham Accords. Abraham, Esquemei Avraham. Thank you for withdrawing from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. Thank you for supporting Operation Rising Lion and for your bold decision to launch Operation Midnight Hammer. Boy, is that, you gotta hear this. This is the most fitting name ever named for a military operation, because a little after midnight, you really hammered them. My friends, this is only a partial list, but it's enough to affirm what I've said time and again. Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House. Mr. President, today we welcome you here to thank you for your pivotal leadership in putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world. A proposal that brings all our hostages home. A proposal that ends the war by achieving all our objectives. A proposal that opens the door to an historic expansion of peace in our region and beyond our region. Mr. President, you are committed to this peace. I am committed to this peace. And together, Mr. President, we will achieve this peace.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor. Nice place. Very nice place. Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, esteemed members of the Knesset, and cherished citizens of Israel, we gather on a day of profound joy, of soaring hope, of renewed faith, and above all, a day to give our deepest thanks to the Almighty God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. So as we celebrate today, let us remember how this nightmare of depravity and death all began. 2 years ago, on the eve of the Simchat Torah holiday, thousands of innocent Israeli civilians were attacked by terrorists, and one of the most evil and heinous desecrations of innocent life the world has ever seen, the worst slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust. The cruelty of October 7th struck to the core of humanity itself. Nobody could believe what they were witnessing. The United States of America grieved alongside you, and we mourned for our own citizens who were so viciously taken that day. And to all the families whose lives were forever changed by the atrocities of that day, and all of the people of Israel, please know that America joins you in those two everlasting vows: never forget and never again. Potential. You have extraordinary potential in this region. It should now be clear to everyone throughout the region that decades of fomenting terrorism and extremism, jihadism and anti-Semitism have not worked. They haven't worked. They've been a disaster. They've just killed. They've killed. To that end, it's my firm hope and dream, frankly, that together the Abraham Accords will turn out to be everything that we thought they would. Those four countries were very, very brave in doing it. They did it at a very early point, and every single one of them benefits unbelievably financially. And if you noticed, even in this bad period that we just went through, they all remained a member of the Abraham Accords. They've done unbelievably well. And you know who you are, and I want to thank you. And they've stayed because of loyalty, but they've also stayed because it was really good business. They've made a lot of money being members, and you're going to all, I hope that every one of the countries that we're seeking, Jared, I hope they join quickly. No games, no nothing. Just join, get it. It's going to be a great peacemaker.
President Trump actually requested that the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, give Netanyahu a pardon, citing his current legal trial and status underway. He even joked that a few cigars and champagne is not a big deal. If you know anything about Netanyahu's corruption trial, part of it, not all of it, there are 3 counts, but one of the parts of this trial is that he accepted favors and gifts and kickbacks. Among those gifts were cigars and champagne. Many argue that heads of state, world leaders, always get champagne and cigars and shouldn't be held responsible for this. Trump said that he thinks that the president of Israel should give him a pardon, so that was kind of a breakout moment since this is a really big contention in Israel. And Trump actually said Netanyahu is not easy to work with, and that's what makes him great, Trump said during his speech. Netanyahu also gifted Trump a golden dove as a thank you note and a token of gratitude. He also shared that he had formally requested President Trump receive the Israel Prize, which is the greatest honor that can be given in Israel, though Trump would be the first non-Israeli to receive it. Netanyahu then alluded to Trump's desire to win the Nobel Peace Prize and suggested that the Israel Prize could be a precursor to that Nobel Prize, which was actually just given out to someone else. During the speech, Israeli members of Knesset Ayman Odeh and Ofer Kassif were escorted out after unveiling a flag with the words genocide. Trump thanked the Knesset ushers for swiftly taking action to get them out. Again, those are members of Israel's Knesset, so you must keep in mind that there are, first of all, Arab Israelis in Israel's Knesset. There are really diverse voices in Israel's Knesset, and those voices have been present all throughout. So for those who say that, it's an apartheid state, or that there's not enough diversity, or that it's an ethno-state, sincerely, there is a lot of diversity, not only in ethnicity, but in thought. During the meeting in the Prime Minister's Knesset office, the two leaders spoke by phone with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and then personally invited Netanyahu to join in the signing ceremony in Sharm el-Sheikh, which is a seaside city in Egypt. Netanyahu turned down the invitation because of the impending holiday of Simchat Torah, which begins at sundown on Monday evening in Israel. And the holiday is already underway. It marks exactly 2 years since the onslaught of war began in the Hebrew calendar, that is. So as of Monday, October 13th, only 4 deceased hostages have been released, leaving the Hostages and Missing Families Forum outraged, along with so many others. The deceased hostages that were returned include Guy Iluz, Yossi Sharabi, Bipin Joshi, who is a Nepalese national, and Daniel Peretz, who's a South African national. Bipin Joshi was a Nepalese agriculture student who had arrived in Israel just 3 weeks prior to his capture. He came to study. His sister had been brave enough to speak valiantly to the international audience calling for his return, and I have to say, watching her speak and muster up all her courage to talk about her brother publicly really broke my heart. It was very difficult, and I think, I've heard analysts and Israelis say it all day. Hearing these Nepalese and these outside residents who came to Israel, whether it be for education, whether it be to work on farms, and those people getting swept up in this violence that really wasn't intended for them, or, you could argue that it was, that anyone who supports Israel or works in Israel, according to Hamas, according to PIJ, according to these hateful terror groups, they believe that it was deserving to them as well. So who am I to say who deserved or who didn't in the eyes of Hamas? But it's very hard for us Israelis to see these outsiders come into Israel and get taken by force into Gaza. That's been really tormenting. The Family Forum says that this is a blatant violation of the agreement by Hamas and that they expect the Israeli government and the mediators to act immediately to correct this terrible injustice. They're calling on mediators to enforce the terms of the agreement and exact a price from the terrorist organization Hamas for these violations. Now, keep in mind that nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners are being released in this exchange. 250 are in or were in for life sentences due to terror offenses. No one who participated in the October 7th, 2023 attack will be included. However, that does give a lot of people some solace, but many individuals we spoke with say they want to celebrate today, but they fear that with so many terrorists released, it's just a matter of time before another outpouring of violence can be expected. And I'll tell you, a lot of people in the military are feeling that. The people that shared this sentiment with us are military guys. They say, we can't really celebrate because this is just going to happen again. And it teaches the enemy that they can achieve what they would like by picking up Jews and Israelis and all those involved and whisking them off to Gaza, holding them hostage, and then doing the same thing over and over again. Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind behind October 7th, was released during a previous prisoner swap in which 1,027 Palestinians were released in exchange for one Israeli soldier, Gilad Shalit. Because of Yahya Sinwar being released, some argue that 1,200 Israelis were then killed on October 7th and that it was a direct cause and effect relationship. I want to give a special thanks to our partner, Bernie News Network, or BNN, for providing great intel for us here at the Israel Daily News. For fast and precise updates, join BNN on WhatsApp and Telegram at their website, bernie.news. They've been working so hard. And a special thanks goes to Perri Schwartz, our news writer, who has been loyally following the updates and writing her heart out. And of course, I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly contribution using that link. There's an option for a one-time donation as well. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news. We're on X, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and LinkedIn. Our page is just about to hit 40,000 followers. You can also follow my personal page at Shanna Fold. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. All right, well, that is it for today's show. Today is Monday, October 13th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 21 degrees Celsius and a high of 26 degrees. That's 70 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 79. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week, and of course with a personal note from me at the top. You can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. Scroll down to the bottom and drop your email address in there, and you can get my personal updates. I really write my heart out. I really write my true feelings in there, guys. I bare my soul, even when it's hard, and even when sometimes I'm crying at my keyboard. I send you off with a song called New Day Will Rise by Yuval Raphael. This song has become the anthem for Nova Festival survivors and Israel at large, because Raphael herself is a Nova Festival survivor, and she came out with this song after surviving. She had a heinous story. We wish you a great and productive day and a wonderful holiday. Chag Sameach, everyone. Enjoy your last meals in your sukkah as the Sukkot holiday comes to a close. And brace yourselves for a bright new year. I really encourage everyone to give a tight and warm hug to your family and friends this season as we enter a new chapter. But don't forget how difficult it's been and how much we've got to hug our loved ones close.
My colors in the gray, my only wish upon a star, sunshine in the day, the only song that my piano ever plays. And even if you say goodbye, you'll always be around to lift me up and take me high, keep my feet close to the ground. Are you proud of me tonight? Dreams are coming true. I choose the light, nothing to lose if I lose you. New day will rise, life will go on. Everyone cries, don't cry alone. Darkness will fade, all the pain will go by, but we will stay, even if you say goodbye. Et même si tu dis adieu, tu ne partiras jamais de l'arc-en-ciel dans mon ciel bleu. Mes couleurs dans le